Record. Okay, good. Basically what I want to do today is show you how to log into Strippo, how to be able to use the default templates, and then how to even build your own template. So I'll go through all those steps, and this will be archived if you need to view it later. And there's also going to be a help page on the hub, which I'll show you here at the end, that you can access to be able to get to that link if you don't bookmark it to Strippo, to be able to get to the other information. And I'll also put a place where I will, so you log in to see what that password is in case you forget it, but you will need to remember a password to be able to log in there. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And throughout this, since today, in case you joined and you thought maybe this might be another one of the 15-minute webinars that we've been having, this is actually going to be a longer, more extensive web training webinar. So throughout, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat, and I'll be taking a look as we go along. So I'm going to go ahead. So feel free to follow along with me if you want. Like I said, this whole webinar will be recorded and you can view it later, but also we'll put out some of these steps as well. So I put in the chat this email address. So basically you can log into this anytime by going to strippo.email, and you'll just go up, click sign in. And this is where we're actually, because of how we're using this, we're going to share the same email address and password. And that email address is going to be my email address. So you probably are familiar with it already, maybe, but it's just G Lindber, so GLINDBER at purdue.edu. Again, I'll share this information so that you can access it from our Salesforce training site and in Salesforce, so that you can get it. If you don't copy it down right now, that's fine. Now the password, I don't know if it'll show it or not. Let's see. So the password is Purdue. Yeah, that's fine. There we go. Purdue, capital P, and then EXT with a capital E, and then the number 119. So that's the password. And then you can go ahead and sign in. And once you sign in, you're going to see all county folders here eventually, but right now these are everybody that have requested a template to use. So you can see these are alphabetical by county, but I'm going to continue adding in all the other counties as well. So what we're going to do today is do a test one, and I'm going to kind of use Du Bois County as an example. But if we go ahead and, for example, just start with DeKalb right here, and go ahead and click on this DeKalb default. This is what it's going to look like for everybody's default. And this is all editable. So you can change any of what you see here. But what I have given you as these default templates is the letterhead up here for your county, phone number, email address, and we also have this logo here. So those are pretty standard. Now if I go back, I know a big question that we've had so far from some of the people like Diane in Du Bois County that have started using this and getting in here a little bit are these folders. Anyone can get into them right now, but I'm looking at ways that we can lock into them. So I definitely understand that could be worrisome, that you might worry if somebody actually goes into your folder and changes your template in some way, then that's going to be bad for you. There's until we get that so that it can just be locked folder for you. I hope that nobody tries to do that until we can get to that point. But I also will show you how you can just have that backed up in Salesforce so that even if something were to change that you didn't make a change to, which I don't know why someone, I could see if they accidentally went to the wrong folder, but I don't know why they would try to purposely sabotage a special template that you have or for a newsletter or anything. But I'll show you how to kind of back that up. And I definitely think that it helps to make copies, save this type of information in other places too, just because even when the folder is locked, and only you have access to it, it's always good to have a backup of this type of data. So what I'm going to do first is act as if I'm going into one of those templates. Let's see here. So, oops, that's not the one I wanted to go into. So this is what it looks like in that default template. Now, if what I'm going to do now is just create an event that Du Bois County has had before and just put that information in here. So you can use this title and you can use this block here. So, and you can add a photo here, but you can also move that information and put it anywhere you want. So let's say I want to move up, I want a picture up here instead. Let me try. I can do that. So for now, let's just keep that back down here. Actually, let's go ahead and just move that right now. Okay, so starting back, so we have these different structures. So this is the structure of the email. And again, if you've ever built an email out of a drag and drop email template builder in something like MailChimp, then this might be familiar to you. But there's really so many things you can do. So the different types of blocks that you have are image, text, button, spacer, video, social, banner, timer, menu, HTML, carousel, and accordion. And the only ones that you really will use are text and image. But it doesn't help to know some of these other things. So button, if you wanted to have a button that they click to a link, that's a little tricky in email sometimes. So usually a link is just sufficient. But as you can see, like the social media ones are down here, so you can always change. You can have Du Bois County's Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You can have all that there. So what I'm going to do first is go ahead and just change what's on here. So if you just click in that like title area, double click, it'll highlight it. I'm going to go ahead and take this down. I'm going to take this title for the 2019 Du Bois County 4-H Fair Horse and Pony Fun Show. That's a long, fun title. So I'm copying that, but you can just type it. You don't have to copy and paste something. And then I just paste it in there. And it's going to have the same font and color that's already in there. It's not going to change based on what I paste in there. Now, if I wanted to change that color, I could click right here. I can select different colors, any kind that I want. And I can also choose if I want this text right here. If I click back in here, if I want it to be aligned right, center, or left. So it looks pretty good. Center makes the most sense for the title. And then from there, those are really all I need there. So now I'm going to do the body of it. And if I scroll down here, I got this information that I'm just going to copy and paste. Oops. I think we can get rid of this picture. And then I'm just going to highlight all of this and I'm going to remove it. That is just placeholder text that you can put anything you want in there. So now that I have, using the tracking pad on my laptop sometimes makes me go out of pages that I don't need to go out of. So we'll go back and fix that. But that might be a good example. Trust me, it's not the website, it's me being weird with my mouse here. Okay. So you can see all that I just did, it saved that. Even though I accidentally went out of the page, it saved it automatically. Up here, you see the save option. So I do recommend once you've done a bunch of work to your template to go ahead and click save. But as you can see, it's right after I made that change here, it has automatically saved it. So I didn't lose that work that I did, which is really nice. Okay, the next thing I can do is click this other block here. And as you can see, it says drop content here, so I can put anything I want. What this is a placeholder for content, but it has image, text, and then button. I'm gonna go ahead and do an image here. And so let's see. Now, if I'm doing an image, it has that I can drag and drop that image and just place it right here. I can go ahead and click common, which is going to give me kind of clip art. Not necessarily, sometimes that's okay for an email, but something like this for a fall like newsletter or something. But always be careful with how much and what type of images you use when it comes to clip art type images, because it can be not necessarily the best practices for a newsletter or for an email to use an abundant amount of clip art. Now, if I go ahead and click stock, here I can see a bunch of different pictures that are already here that I could choose, but it says I can type place, holiday, or mood. Let's say I want to add a field right now. So I have a bunch of stock photos of fields that are free to use that I can use. So this is a really nice feature. I don't have to go outside to Pixabay, which is a stock photo website, and grab something and then put it in here. I can just grab something right now and put it in here, which is really nice. There's a lot of good images here. I'm going to go ahead and put this one, and that doesn't look too bad. But as I add this photo, I realize that doesn't really describe what the content is about. So I want to have something that is more about the horse and pony fun show. So I have a picture taken from that Facebook. Let's see. And I'm going to have it in my downloads here. But if I go back to email, I can click change image. And now that image is going to stay here stored so that I could use it at another time, but I could always remove it by just clicking this trash bin right here. Now, once you have the image that you want to put, though, you can go ahead and grab it, and then you can just drag and drop it right into that box there. As you can see, there's the image that was from that Facebook page. I went ahead and just grabbed that and put it on here. So we have that on here now. Now let's say that I want to add another block of text to this, because one thing that this doesn't have is the date and time. So what I can do is go ahead and I can click, let's see. I go over into content. So I'm basically just in content for everything. I can drag whatever I want over into my template here. So I'm going to put more text, and I want to put it right underneath this text I already have. And let's see. It looks like that is right inside the other text. So I actually want to add a spacer here just to give a little space. And I'm going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is type in when and where. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and just copy that information from here. So this was in the past, but we're just going to kind of pretend that this is something coming up. It's a Friday, July 19th. For some reason, it copied a part of it that I don't need, so I can just remove that. And then where is at the Du Bois County 4-H Fairgrounds. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that and put that there. And as you can see, it looks like there's a good amount of space there. Now, if I want this picture to come up a little more, or if I wanted this text to come up a little more, I can go ahead and click on this picture right here, and I can click on Appearance tab, and you'll see this padding. So if I wanted to come up some more, I could go ahead and, oops. Usually, let's see. Might not work for that. Let me click structure, heading top. This is a tricky part with the padding, is how much it actually shows or adds. Played around with this earlier, but let's try it instead of that picture. Let's try this little block here and do appearance again. And make sure that's selected. It looks like it keeps deselecting it for some reason. Yeah, it looks like it's doing it. It's showing me the whole newsletter. But anyways, you can play around with that padding. I was able to do it earlier. Let's see, maybe this will. There we go. So just this padding right here, once you clicked in there, it's actually in the content tab. I'm sorry about that. I was going to appearance. It was giving me the whole newsletter. I'm still, there's so much you can do in here, but it's also simple, but it's also a lot of different tools. So as you can see, that adds a lot more spacing around everything. If I wanted it to go like that, that's much better, more condensed, but I want to give it a little bit more white space there. You can click the show more here, and that's where I did that. Top is bringing it down, but if I needed to bring it up more, I could be able to do that. So like this one right here, it's about as far down as it's going to go. Yep. But I could add more space there. And basically that just does that to the text box. You could always just add another space if you wanted to. But right now I think that looks good. So what I want to do is go ahead and also, before I preview this, you can also remove things. So in the templates that you have, some of the earlier ones, they had this little branding down here. You can remove that. You can remove this whole structure right here. Same with this pre-header up here. I can go ahead and just remove that whole section. And then I can go in and preview this just to get an idea of what it will look like in an email and then also on mobile. And you can get some pretty good looking emails to be able to show up in mobile that are very clean. So you can then exit out of the preview. And what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to move that. We're going to use classic version right now, just for this whole example today. I've been playing around still in Lightning version of Salesforce, copying this template and putting it in Lightning version, and it's not clean. There's been a lot of comments about things in Lightning version that people like, but a lot of things I can't do it in Lightning. Is this something that we can fix? And a lot of that falls on Salesforce. That's why they haven't completely gotten rid of Classic, because they haven't fixed everything or done everything that they need to do in Lightning. So while there's some advantages to using it sometimes, as I do as an administrator, find myself going to Classic quite a bit, but I do see an advantage for certain things in Lightning. So as much of a pain as it is, I do switch back and forth. But for today's purpose, we're going to go ahead and add this template to the Classic version. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is click this button right up here, this code editor. So if you just scroll over, you'll see say code editor. Now, don't get scared by all of this content here. This is the HTML that makes up the whole template, the whole email that we created. But you do not need to know what any of this means. You do not need to pay attention to it at all. All you need to do is copy it from top to bottom. And it's a lot to copy, but you can see, make sure that it's all copied. What I like to do, just as a tip, and when this error pops up, or not an error, but when this message pops up, you can just ignore it. You can just close out of it or just ignore it. But what I like to do is on a PC, just hit Control A and it will highlight everything in that box, so that you don't have to go ahead and scroll through and highlight it. But Control A will just highlight everything you need, and then you can do a right click copy. So now let's go to Salesforce. Any questions so far before we go into Salesforce? Okay, we're doing pretty good so far. So I'm already logged into Salesforce here. I'm gonna make this a little bigger just so it's not too small for everyone. So as many of you should know, creating a template in classic version, what you do is go to your name and then My Settings. And then I'm going to go to Email, and I'm going to go to Email Templates. Now, if you're creating a new template, what you're going to do is select Custom without using classic letterhead. And then it's going to ask you for where you want to store this folder, this template. You're going to want to put it in your personal email templates. You're going to make sure available for use is selected. You're going to want to give it a name, and then it'll automatically populate a unique name for it. And then you'll want to give, you don't need to put description, but then you'll want to give the subject for your email in there. Now I already have one created, so I'm just going to go ahead and cancel that. And I'm going to go to Du Bois County Test here. So you can see I have that information that we just talked about. I made sure that's available for use. So I'm going to go ahead and right now I'm going to edit HTML version. So when you first create it, it'll give you this HTML body. Now I still have that in my clipboard that I've copied from Strippo. I'm just going to go ahead and click in here. I'm going to right click, paste. And you can see if you want to make sure that it's at least complete and that nothing's wrong, all you need to do, knowing that you copied it, is that you see this HTML at the bottom with the backslash on it. And then at the top, you see HTML here, right after all this stuff that you see HTML. That's all that you need to know that it's complete, because as long as you haven't messed with anything else inside it, it's going to work just fine. So now we want to make sure that it looks like what we had in Strippo. So I'm going to go ahead and click preview just to see a look of that. And there we go. So you can see that the same thing is there that we had built. Now there's some things that we can play around with more, as far as what I would do is I would go back in Strippo and I would space this out a little more. I would maybe remove this gray background. Let's just go ahead and do that right now. And then since if you've already previewed and you need to go back into Strippo, have the two open and just make those changes. So I can just close out of this because it just opened the preview in a new window. I'm going to go back into Strippo. I'm going to click the code editor button again to get rid of that. Now, like I said, I want to space this out more. So the best way I can do that probably is add go to content, blocks. And I'm going to put, let's see, I'll put that spacer there. Let's just put another structure here. And then let's make that really small. So yeah, it doesn't seem like a good idea to put a structure there. I thought that might work, but let's go ahead and let's remove the structure. See, as you can see, I'm playing around with it. That's basically what a lot of this is too, is playing around with it here. But instead of adding something in there, let's just click on that structure around the box real quick. And let's see if we can add some more space there. So I put it at 40. That's going to give me a little more white space so that it doesn't go right onto this Purdue extension icon. Now, that gray was looking a little weird. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that gray. So if I click on structure, and then appearance, you can see the background color is that gray. We can go ahead and just change it to white. Oh, what did I do? So yeah, we're back here. Maybe did that do it? I don't think so. So yeah, let's click on that again. Let's then go into appearance again. No, content background color. And this is the whole email. This isn't giving me just the structure. Let me see. There we go. So what you want to do when you click the structure is make sure that you have appearance selected here. So we should have that background color should just be white. There we go. So if you click the appearance tab, it's going to deal with the whole email. And if you click on any of these structures or any of these blocks, it's going to deal with the content. And that's where you can make changes to those. And I want to make this last one that allows people to unsubscribe to the email and such. I can go ahead and make that white too, in the same way that we just did that. So white. There we go. So I made those two changes. I'm going to go ahead and see how it looks again in Salesforce. So I'm going to recopy that code. I'm going to click the code editor button again up here. I'm going to do Control A, so I have everything selected. And then I'm going to right click, copy. I'm going to go back into Salesforce. I'm going to, I have this after I previewed it, so I'm going to go ahead and I do a Control A on this, delete it all. And then I'm going to do another right click, paste. And now I have it. As you can see, it says, I don't see that HTML there. So did it download everything? No, I think now what it did here is I think I was only selecting a certain section. Let me see. Sorry. I didn't see that HTML there, so I feel like that was not giving me the whole email. What if I click appearance? So we'll write this in the steps, but this is as I'm warning because I didn't know it did do that. What it was just giving me was the HTML for that certain section because I was clicked in the content tab. Before you do the content editor, make sure that you have the appearance tab selected. So with the appearance tab selected, then I click the code editor button. And like I said, that's the warning right there. If you don't see that HTML at the top, then something's wrong. You need to go back and click the appearance tab. So I'm going to go ahead and do Control A again. Right click, copy, go into Salesforce. I'm going to do Control A and then delete. Right click, paste here. But I didn't notice that right away until I saw it in Salesforce too. So, you'll know when you preview it that it doesn't look right. But now I'm going to go ahead and preview it. And you can see it did get rid of that color there, but the one thing that it does have is that it didn't do anything with that spacing. So since we do have the time, let's try and figure out how we can add space there. So kind of figuring things out together so that we don't have this all bunched up together, because I can see that being another issue that we run into. One question while we're going along here is what are the review partner store customer support listings at the bottom for? If someone clicks on them, what happens? This is just something that was from a standard template in Strippo. We can change those links to whatever we want. We can make the customer support an email that we want. We could simply just remove all of this. So I left that there for you if you wanted to have any of that information. If you wanted to have these things for your templates, I would just go ahead and remove those because it probably doesn't relate to anything. So if you would prefer, those are just already removed in your standard templates. I could go ahead and do that now before we build the other ones. But it was nice. It's kind of just a placeholder for what we could put under text. So I'll just go ahead and remove that so that will be gone. And then I'm going to remove this code editor. And you see that drop content here in this container. If I go into preview, that container is not going to be there. That's only just a space for you to put something in, but it's not actually there. So now let's go back again. So remove this preview. Sarah Weeks said, can we add the EEO statements on our templates? Yes, absolutely. And you should do that. Is it the same for every county? I'm familiar with the ones that I've used, but if it's the same, I could start that for the default templates too. But yeah, we definitely should put those on there. So thank you for bringing that up. Another question is, do we have to do anything to set up that if someone clicks on the Twitter button, does it automatically share there or what? Yes, so I left these here for you to add. Click on that right there. What you're going to see is Twitter, Facebook. They don't have any links right now, so it's not going anywhere. Looks like I just accidentally got rid of Twitter. It's doing that thing with my mouse here again. Okay, going back to. Thank you, Sarah. Let's see. Sorry about that. So there's the Twitter again. If you click on that little block there that has the social media icons, see it says the Twitter one, and it looks like I accidentally hit the trash can next to it and removed it. But then you can always add it back. So by just clicking. Let's see. I think. Let's see. I've never tried adding a new one back, but it looks like you just do it. I think after you remove it, it should be easy to add it just back. Let me get back to you on that one because I think that's a little weird how add icons. Okay, so you just click Twitter and then I move Twitter over here. But I don't know if it's letting me organize how they appear then. So that's a little tricky as to where I want to move it. Okay, but for now, I mean, you can play around with it, and you could. But all you would really do is put the link to your Facebook page. So I have that Du Bois County Facebook page up. I could just go ahead and do that if I wanted to. Just so we can see how that looks here. And let's say I don't want to have YouTube or Twitter. You can go ahead and remove those. So if you don't put anything there, it's just going to be a dead link. So I wanted to leave those there so that you could put your Facebook. Everybody should have YouTube could just be the extension YouTube, but I believe most of us have our county ones too, so you could change that. But I guess for the default ones, I'll go ahead and add it as the extension YouTube, and then you can change it to a different channel if you want. And then you'll just need to go in and add your Facebook and Twitter. If you don't have Twitter, you can just remove it. So you'll just have to go in there and add or remove those as you need to. So I'm just going to leave. If you just have one social media icon, that doesn't even look that great sometimes. So we'll always just for this example, leave it there right now. Now, the thing I wanted to do was add space here. So I did add that padding, but it didn't work out very well. So let's go back to structures. So I don't know, we added that spacer right here. It gave me this line. I could remove that line there. So that's what we did up here is a spacer with the line. So I did add the spacer this time just to go back. What I did was I clicked content. I was in this structure. I clicked content. Oops, sorry. I was in outside of that. I click content. And then I clicked blocks. And then from there, I clicked the spacer and I just dragged and dropped it right underneath the picture. And then once I've added that, I can have that a line as thick as I want to kind of give it a space, or I can completely remove that line. So this should give us that space that we needed, that we weren't seeing in our preview email in Salesforce. So I actually want to move this logo over a little bit too. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And let's move that a little over to the right, I think. So by moving it to the left there, it's going to move it over a little more so it's not right on the edge of the left side of it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save, even though this stuff should be saved. Like I said, always make sure you do that. Got a question from Diane real quick. Does a photo have to be a certain size to fit in the template? That was a problem I was having with our annual meeting template I was working on, how to adjust the size of photos. So there's some good image resize tools that I can put in that, that you can just add an image to online. It'll resize it for you to whatever you need it to. If you need to make it smaller, you can also, if you're in on a PC, which I assume all of us are, you can just use you can use the Microsoft Paint tool, and you can just drop the picture in there, and you can make it whatever size you need to fit. And if you need some suggestions for sizes, let me know. But I can also add that to those resources. But I'll add a couple. The main one that I like to use for resizing images to that Stripo resources thing that I'll show you here soon. So, and basically, if you're using one of those photos that I showed you in the stock photos, a lot of those will just be a good size anyways, so those aren't bad to use. So I'm going to go ahead and, as you can see, what did I not do there? I didn't click appearance here. So now I have everything. Control A. Oh, got to click inside this box here where that has the code. Control A, right click, copy, back into Salesforce. Control A, delete, and then paste. Okay. Yeah, Canva is a great tool too. So that just gets tricky. It sometimes takes a lot of playing as to how you want that, how big you want that photo to appear. But I can give some more steps. I know Ryan Weinkoop left some good information about resizing photos and using Canva too that I can probably link onto that resources. Okay, so let's go ahead and preview this. And wow, it's still doing that there. So I'm going to go ahead and send it as a test to see if it's still doing that. It is strange. I haven't seen that issue before, but one thing that I can do in the test is, doesn't take me to, maybe it's just because it's a test. Let's check some of the links. But yeah, I don't know why it's not giving it more of a space there. And sometimes you just have to play around. So no matter what template builder you're using, sometimes it's some back and forth until you get it the way you want. But the good thing is, if you're doing a similar event, you can always copy that event, and it's, you've already done all the work in the past, and you can just change the pictures and the content the way you want. So sometimes it just takes a lot of work to get that one good newsletter or that one event email that you want to send out. So I'm going to go ahead and do a test. And if we don't get this today, I can give you more information on how I did do that, because it's going to drive me crazy until I do. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'm going to go ahead and send test to myself. And while I'm waiting to get that email, let's see, I'm going to go back into the template editor here and show you how to do that copying that I was just talking about. So if I, now knowing that this is saved, and then I put it into Salesforce, it's saved in Salesforce right now. If I wanted to copy this in the future and make it a different event, but I liked how it's set up. All I want to do is add like maybe two more pictures or another block of text. What I could do is just click this copy right here when hovering over that template. So it's going to give me a copy of that because of the title. It's a copy of a copy, but I could go ahead and rename it to new event. And then you have to click this check mark to make sure that saves. But if you need to remove any template in at any time, you'll just hover over that again and you'll click delete. So let's see, I'll go take a look and see if that email, and I'll have to share this differently. So yeah, I'm looking at that email right now and it did look exactly like that preview. So adding that spacer for some reason didn't actually put the space. So I'll try and find out why I did that, and I can share that on Chatter after this as a follow-up. If not today, by tomorrow, because like I said, it's gonna drive me crazy. I moved it over. It looked right here. So maybe I just didn't copy over the HTML correctly. I'm gonna try one more time real quick, just because it's one of those things that should have worked. No? Okay, yeah, I'll take a look. I don't know why. That's one of those things I mentioned. Like I added the thing and this didn't even move over like I made it. So I'll see what is going on there and share that with everybody. But moving on, I want to have some time for questions too. It's just if you want to add a new template, I feel like as much as we covered today, just going over what you can change in these default templates, we probably could have another session at some point just on building new templates, because like I said, it's kind of simple and complicated at the same time. So what you can do is click new email to start a new template at any time. And you'll see there's these saved templates. So the saved template is what I was working off just a minute ago for those county default email templates. Now, if you click this basic templates tab, you're going to see you have, if it's for training, it has these different types of content that you use. And if it is just a small email with one column or two columns, you could use those. Now you're probably going to use different type of newsletter. So this newsletter one right here might come in handy to you most. So as you can see, you have this stuff on here that you probably just want to get rid of. That looks weird. Again, this is just a template so that you can start building from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and so now I have a picture I can put up here. I have the text. I have a button. I can remove that if I want. I can remove social media. I can remove any other information. Always make sure you remove this Strippo branding. Nobody needs to know that we built these in Strippo. So basically, again, wherever you're at and you want to add something, you'll just click that content, and structures are the spaces that you add the content to. So if you wanted to have a 2-column portion or 3 columns, I could add this right here. So I could add a video here, I could add a picture here, and then some text. That wouldn't look very good, but that's something I could do. So then if I go back to blocks, that's where I can add that information. So I could add that video. Now, video is not something I tested much, but it's an interesting idea to see if we could do that in Salesforce. So that's something I would test out more too. Now, keep in mind, just speaking outside of Salesforce, these templates you could use elsewhere too. You don't necessarily have to use in Salesforce. You could use in MailChimp. You could use for Outlook. But obviously, it helps to use Salesforce just to have send it out to those mail groups that you already have. And then you can just drag and drop image, text, and you can adjust that however you want. So pretty standard as far as what we talked about already, but you just have more free reign to just start from scratch. Now, if you already have an HTML code somewhere from an existing template or from a MailChimp one, you could go ahead and add in that existing code. You could replace everything that's in there and add it in here to see what it looks like. And like I mentioned, if you wanted to export your existing thing, this is how you could export it to Outlook. And you'll see there is a Salesforce one on here, but I'm playing around with it more. It says it's for the marketing cloud, and we have the sales cloud as far as products go, not the marketing cloud. So I'm going to see if that is even possible. It's weird that they would just have one and not the other. But as you can see, there's also MailChimp and Gmail and other places where you can just export your template to. So again, I'm going to play with that one that we had, but I want to open it up to any more questions. I know it's a lot of information. And before we end, after I see if there's any questions, let me get the chat here again. I'll show you where you can access that help content. So any questions right now? Well, if anybody types any in our last 10 minutes, we might end a little early here, but I want to show you, if you go to the Purdue Extension Hub, which everybody should be aware of, it's just extension.purdue.edu/hub. This is where you go to get to the Salesforce help. So if you go to technology, I always forget that it's in technology, not learn. You'll see the Salesforce training. And many of us might already have this bookmarked as well, but if you're in the classic version of Salesforce, at any time you always see that link to that Salesforce training, and it'll take you to the same page. Now, if you scroll down right now, I have to change the color here, but you can see this strippo.email help. There's more that I'm going to add to this page, but right now it has, if you click the image or if you click this link right here, it's going to take you to that login page. What I'm also going to do is add a little area, a link here that will take you to a page that has that login, my email address, and the password, so that you can always find that in case you didn't store that or you need help finding how to log in again. And then this article right here, the Strippo support's really good. So if you click on that, that's going to give you more information on how to use that workspace area that we talked about today. So everything we went along, mentioned as far as creating a new email, creating a folder within a folder, but also blocks, and the difference between blocks and structures and all that. So give that a look, and I'll add some more links. But what I will also do is add this archived video from today, this webinar, to that page. So I will add the video right here so you can view it anytime, and then also any other things that we that image resizer link as well, and a link to Canva. Might as well put that here. So there's a couple different tools you can use. So that is the strippo.email. As I said, the two main pain points I have with it right now is that it doesn't work too great in Lightning, and you can always try doing the copy and paste into Lightning, but what has been happening to me is getting a lot of errors. And the other pain point is that it's a little difficult to have to just go in to do this. I think it's great and works easy inside Strippo, but the fact that you have to copy and paste that code and then go into Salesforce and go back and forth. Of course, once you have it the way you want it, you're good, you're great. But you have to play around with it, like I do with spacing that logo right now. That can be a little frustrating, but feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to try and help you with that. And but I'm also looking at ways that we can integrate into Salesforce while we do have this. So this is, not a permanent solution, but I think this is a good solution because, like I said, some of us are familiar with MailChimp and using that drag and drop feature. We've tried to find a good free or cost effective way to use something inside Salesforce, and it just doesn't exist. So right now, this is the best solution that we've found. Another question from Sarah. Educators are using Canva for their newsletters. Could we make Strippo and Canva be compatible? Yeah, it's a good question. I know of Canva, but I never used it enough, so I don't know how similar it is to this. Like, I think one benefit is that we all can get in here and get these default templates in the same place is one benefit to using Strippo, but I don't know if what Canva can or cannot do compared to Strippo. But if they could talk together, let's go into. I just wanted to see if when I was in that export, I didn't know if Canva came up. Don't think it did. I'll look into that. I wouldn't be surprised that there might be a way to either integrate the two or at least something that we can do along that. She said, so I can see my educators using this for their newsletters. I do like it, yeah. Yeah, I think Canva's a great tool too, but I don't know if it's much better than this for making newsletters because this is pretty straightforward, gives you a lot of flexibility, but you can also do a little more in-depth stuff as well. But like I said, once you have that template down that you can reuse, because a lot of the same newsletters, a lot of the same similar events, you can just copy and paste those, and you don't really have to worry about the structure part of it as much. It's more just replacing pictures and content. So we have like 4 minutes left, but if there's no other questions, I'll go ahead and end it for today. And thank you for everybody watching me learn along with you, as usual. So I'll share that on Chatter, how I fix that information, and we'll archive this video and put it on that help page for Strippo and Salesforce. And then I'll also look into if it's something educators could use as well, because this is a tool that's cheap enough that we are able to afford, but I don't see why not. Educators could use it too if they wanted as well. So I hope that you can find a use to it, even if you aren't using it initially for Salesforce. Like I said, it's still a great tool to just be able to create templates. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Next week, we're going to be talking about the sharing feature. So we'll have a similar longer training session and talking more in depth about the training or the sharing button in Salesforce. So thanks again. See you next week.